Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon Chair Bear HD, and today we have week 5 of the ICBA against Flame Horizon and his Minnesota Golden Golducks, which he is currently 3-1 towards top of the league. I am 1-3 after that abysmal last week where we got absolutely destroyed, and so confidence at a very low point here with this team. I mean, I like the team, I like how it looks, just obviously not performing well, not building well, not playing well. I mean, like, I'm just all around, you know, I'm doing worse than my opponents, and my opponents are, you know, playing well against me and prepping well, so, you know, I have to step up my game for sure. And one way to actually do that this week was, I didn't actually build the team. My friend Papa Max, or Max Master, or just Max, he was offering to build teams for anyone that wanted it because he was bored or something like that, and I was feeling down about how I've been doing so far, and I was like, you know what, hey, want to build me a team? And he said, yeah, sure. And then he looks at the matchup, and you can see, you know, 6 of the mons that Flame Horizon has on his squad, but most notably that didn't come were the, especially the Hoopa Unbound and the Mega Alakazam. So you can see he's got that crazy cool Psychic Surge, or Psychic Terrain core, and so that's definitely threatening. And yeah, so he got back to me and said, I came up with a team, I guess. It's pretty awful, but has a gimmick, and the worst Mew set ever created. And I was like, you know what? That doesn't even bother me in the slightest. That's no big deal. And he's like, well, it's like Scarf Mono U-Turn with 3 utility moves. I'm like, well, you know what? I don't care. That's fine. It's whatever. You don't need to convince me anymore. I'm using the team. And he says, well, in greater detail, so like Tailwind spam with Rotom and Pharaoh can almost kind of win, and Pillow just for like Trick Room Hoopa or something like that. Balloon can be changed to Sash on Pharaoh, it's just for webs, or for your own good, don't use the team. This might be the worst team I've ever made. Sorry. So, with that information, I said, I'm bringing that team. And a little more detail on that team is a pretty standard Piloswine here, with Earthquake, Ice, Shard, Toxic, Stealth Rock, you know, almost basically the same moveset I bring most of the time, but interchange what Ice moves, because it's just solid rocker. It's mixed defenses, but mostly defensive. Since I've got, at least with the mons that I'm bringing, a little more Spadef presence, like that Primarina, then the infamous Mew here that he mentioned, it is indeed scarfed with U-Turn, and then it's also got, for the 3 support moves, it's got Trick, Tailwind, and Defog. So Defog, obviously, he mentioned webs, and you can see the Galvantula, so webs are something that I have to consider, especially with my Ultramon being Pheromosa, which relies on its speed. So definitely was important to make sure I could, you know, beat webs, which I think this team actually is really well prepared for that, because I have 2 Levitators and Balloon Pheromosa, so I wasn't too concerned if he got webs up. And then next up we have Rotom Mow with the Gracium. It's modest max special attack, so it's just gonna, you know, do as much damage as possible. It's faster than Incineroar and below, so if you know, it should be faster than the defensive mons that he brings, and just in general, since he didn't bring his ground type, the Mudbray, which it's a threat. It has to be considered. Go watch Flame Horizon's week 1 to see how big a threat it is, so I'm not discounting it at all. Then next up we have the Scarfed Hydreigon with U-Turn, Dark Pulse, Draco Meteor, Flash Cannon. Pretty standard set, and enough speed to outspeed Lele. So Scarf Lele, I can at least have something in response, and it doesn't have to worry about webs. Although Flash Cannon obviously does not even nearly OHKO it, but it should do a lot of damage, and that'll make it easier to beat down. And Next up, we have Pheromosa, which has an interesting set. It's actually Quiver Dance, Taunt, Bug Buzz, and Hidden Power Fire. And the Hidden Power Fire is for was a Fortress, which did not come. But otherwise, Bug Buzz hits pretty much everything, and you can see on this team, Bug Buzz hits everything solidly, other than the Combuskin, which Combuskin's frail. So that's that's one thing that if I can if the Combuskin is gone, Pheromosa can actually just sweep pretty, like, with just a little bit of damage going around. Then, lastly, we actually have Focus Sash Primarina, which is actually max HP, max special attack. I meant to ask Max why, but I didn't question it because I trusted him. And so Focus Sash is nice, especially because, as you can see on his side, there's actually no Stealth Rocker. So I know that that Focus Sash will always be intact, and its typing is great against Combuskin, for which I actually, looking at my team, I don't have anything really for it. So I need to keep that Primarina around with the Sash intact so I can just make sure I can beat that. But I've got Dual Stabs in Scald, Moonblast, and then I've got Encore Aqua Jet. So team, actually, you know, since I'm not seeing the Mega Alakazam and I'm not seeing the Hoopa Unbound, I'm feeling quite relieved. But my first thought is he's just gonna embarrass me with Combuskin and Trevenant. I don't know how yet, but I feel like he's gonna do it. And I know Trevenant gets Trick Room, and I faced Trick Room 2 weeks ago that destroyed me, so I'm gonna be more aware of that. But I don't think that his team is really a Trick Room. Instead, I would see it more being webs based with the Galvantula. So with that in mind, we will get into the battle where I'm going to lead off with my Piloswine because I want to get rocks up immediately. Like, I think that would be so helpful, and he doesn't have any hazard removal with him. So I'm totally in control of whether we defog or not. And he's going to lead off with that Incineroar. I don't think my Piloswine does a whole lot in this game, to be quite honest, so I don't care if he knocks me off. He shouldn't be able to OHKO me by any means, so I don't care what he does. He actually goes for U-turn as I'm just going for my Stealth Rock, and he goes into the Melodic, which makes perfect sense. Great switch into me. You know, if I can Toxic it next turn, that'd be great. Otherwise, I really can't do anything to this, and if I get burned, big whoop. But he actually is Flame Orb, which I'm not really opposed to that. Like, Toxic would have been nicer, but I don't really have much of a physical presence whatsoever, so I don't actually care that he's Flame Orb. And so I'm gonna switch out into my Mew because I don't want him to scald my my Piloswine if I'm not doing anything to it, as he actually predicts my Rotom Mow, which is good on him. So it worked as a nice pivot, since I don't think this Mew does a whole lot either, other than maybe potentially trick something at some point. But for right now, I'm just going to U-turn out into my Rotom Mow, so I'm using this as a pivot chance, as he's actually going to go for the Toxic. So I don't want Rotom to be, taking damage over time. However, I'm going to Volt Switch a lot, so I don't care as much that it's Toxic. I shouldn't be staying in at the end of the turn, and I think my Rotom Mow is a huge threat to him. So I can just go for Volt Switch, no ground type, as he's gonna go into the Trevenant to take on that electric move or grass move that I might go for, as he's going to Frisk and see my Grassium Z. So he does know that I am, Z move on this. He doesn't, and so that's at least good information for him. However, that's fine to me because I'm going to be able to just switch out into my Hydreigon, which don't worry, I know the battle pauses here, but that's just part of the recording. So I can just go right into my Hydreigon, which should threaten this out with a Dark Pulse. And since rocks are up, his only good switch-ins are, Melodic and maybe the Incineroar, but since the rock damage is coming in, I don't care, like, if this comes in at all. I'm okay with doing, Dark Pulse damage. See what set he is. He probably is Assault Vest, which, switching it in, and he definitely is Assault Vest based off that damage, but he has to keep taking rocks damage, so I'm perfectly okay with forcing it in and just continually, like, going for that Dark Pulse to force it in. So I might want to do it later, as I'm going to switch into my Mew, because again, it doesn't really do much, as he actually goes for Cross Chop. So I didn't predict that whatsoever. It was just a safe pivot, in my mind, as I'm gonna go for the trick, expecting the Melodic to maybe come in, but if he stays in, I'm okay with that, because now he's Choice Scarfed, and he doesn't have the Assault Vest anymore, so now he's lost his bulk, and he's gonna be locked into one move, so I'm perfectly okay with that, as he goes for the knockoff, knocks out my Mew, but I think it did a good job in getting rid of that Assault Vest, because now it really can't take my hits since I have such a specially based team. So I'm free to go into my Rotom Mow. He knows I'm Z-move, so we both know this knockoff isn't going to do much, so I'm free to Volt Switch yet again, and as he goes into the Trevenant yet again, that lets me just go into the Hydreigon, and click Dark Pulse once again, because it's the exact same situation as last time, more or less, because hey, if his switch in that he really wanted to go into was that Incineroar, I'm perfectly okay with that, because then I'm weakening it and it's going to kill it's honestly, other than the obvious Lele, it's probably the biggest threat to my team. And now that it's Scarfed and gonna be locked into a move, that's fine with me. It does not matter. And it is not faster than my Scarfer remaining, which is this, or my Pheromosa, so it's not a big deal. As he's gonna go into the Galvantula, Dark Pulse definitely will not knock this out, so I'm just gonna go into my Piloswine. It's just, it's my ground type. Should be able to take a hit. If he goes for Energy Ball predicting me, good play on his part, but he's just gonna go for the Sticky Web, which I honestly don't care about. I don't have my Defogger, but like I said, Balloon Pheromosa doesn't care about that Sticky Web, so he's gonna make the safe switch into his Melodic, as I actually make the double into my Rotom Mow, and I do this because I completely expected him to just switch out into Melodic, because he would have lost his Galvantula just for basically webs and a little bit of damage on a Piloswine, which I don't think was worth sacking the Galvantula, which honestly is pretty decent against my team. So I'm going to Volt Switch, and now, since this is his only electric resist, he switches into it, and it's now possibly in Rock's range, and it's very weakened, so I'm actually going to go into my Piloswine. I don't know, what his item is, but I know I can take any one hit, so I'm okay with using my Piloswine to make sure that it takes a hit, as he goes for Energy Ball, and does not do much damage, so definitely not damage boosting. I did talk to him after, which he's actually Scarfed, so it would have been funny if I had gone into my Hydreigon assuming I was faster, but I had no idea at this point in battle, so maybe this is Scarfed, I have no idea, but yes, he was actually Scarfed Galvantula, which would have definitely caught me off guard if it came to it, but Lele comes in. Yeah, I'm sacking something. It's a Lele. I don't have the defensive stuff to it, and I'm definitely not switching hard into Hydreigon on this. No way. As I'm gonna go Hydreigon now to see if he's Scarfed. He'd have to switch, but if he stays in, I can get the Flash Cannon off, and I can do a good chunk of damage to where I know that my Pheromosa can take this out. So he does go for that Moonblast, kills my Hydreigon and its whole family, because Lele's strong. But you know what? Pheromosa, Balloon, working exactly like it needed to, making sure I don't take those webs, and I can go straight for the Bug Buzz, as I am max speed Pheromosa, because that outspeeds Mega Alakazam by 1 point, and I get my Bug Buzz off, get the kill, get my speed boost. I'm already faster than his whole team anyway, it doesn't really matter about the speed boost, but now he goes into his Melodic, as what I could do is Taunt or Quiver Dance, but I don't want him to have Haze, and I mean, he shouldn't have it, but I just don't, because he should have Recover, I want to say I've seen by now Water Move, Ice Move, Toxic, or at least Ice Move, Toxic, which I'd assume there's Scald as well, so I'm just gonna switch into my my Rotom, as I don't think he would Scald, and he does indeed Recover. So now I can just Thunderbolt, get a ton of damage off, and I actually get a crit and kill him. Like I was not gonna kill him with that Thunderbolt. So that's I wouldn't have died to an Ice Beam by any means, but it would have done a ton of damage. So I would be a lot weaker than I am at this point, as now he goes into the Combuskin, And so I'm expecting this to protect, so I'm just going to use my Z move. I have my Primarina with a sash in the back, so it does not matter. But he actually doesn't click protect. And so, yeah, this is, you know, I don't know how much damage it's going to do, but this is going to be good damage because it's a nice Leaf Storm Bloom Doom with modest max attack, or special attack. So, if he's not Eviolite, you know, I'd imagine it's going to do a ton, and, yeah, goodbye, Combustion. It actually just dies, which I know I talked to him during the game and after, and he said, I know he said his Lele was meant to have Ghostium Shadow Ball, which it didn't even have Shadow Ball on it, which it thankfully didn't come into play, and then he definitely meant to protect. I think he might have misclicked with that one, not clicking protect, but, you know, I at least for the sake of differential, it definitely matters for this, but for the sake of how the battle, you know, if it's going to be won or not, I think I still had it in the bag, and I think we both agreed on that, at least at that point in the battle, as now he's gonna force, he's into his Incineroar, he's scarfed, he's going for the Flare Blitz, he gets a crit, it doesn't matter because I was sashed, so I didn't care what he went for, and I can actually just Aqua Jet and win the game right there. And so we come back strong. Big assist from Max with this God Squad that I know he didn't believe in, but I trusted him, and it definitely worked out. I think, obviously in hindsight, a fighting move on Pheromos like Focus Blast probably would have been better, because I actually could have swept at that point, but in any case, you know, I think I'm happy with how it got played, and I'm happy that at least a lot of the text that Max put in there for me to use worked out, other than the fact that I didn't actually click Tailwind at any point like I was probably supposed to, you know, in theory, but I didn't think I needed it, and we come out with a 3-0 win. So I'm glad that we were able to. Flame Horizon was great to battle against, and I'm glad he didn't embarrass me with the God Bray, because I know that's been a menace. So definitely check out his side of this battle, and definitely his other battles, because his Mudbray is no joke, and he's been having a solid season. So definitely glad we are back on the winning side. Now we're 2-3, still probably bad differential, but we'll work on that as we get wins. You know, winning is what we're aiming for at this point, but more importantly, just having fun. And I enjoyed this battle. You know, when techs work out, that's usually the most fun for me. Even if it wasn't my own techs, I enjoyed how the battle went, and honestly, just talking through the game with Flame Horizon after was just actually really nice. Like we were in a call with a bunch of other people after the game, and it was fun to talk it out and just, you know, honestly gush over Pokemon. And I think I was definitely feeling down, and, you know, not losing motivation overall, but like it was just, you know, every League player gets down when they're not doing so hot, and I think this game, whether I won it or not, I think was just good, you know, gonna be good, and I had a great opponent to help, you know, re-spark my love for Pokemon. Like I never lost it, but it really put it to the forefront again. So thank you for a fun match, Flame Horizon, and thank you for watching this far. And hopefully you join next week, where we hopefully can maybe get to 500. And I will see you then. Bye!